I'm trying to tell you is, if you are going to be men of impact, we must be ready to pay the price. Have you ever asked yourself why Mandela is regarded as a global icon? By the way, he was in power for a very short time. The South African tried to plead with him to continue, and he said, "There's no way at 80 I can be a president." He refused, and he was not sick at that point. He looked quite strong, but he refused to be a president after the age of 80. Some others are trying, but you need to understand. They are trying to define a biological clock, but because of that behavior, not wanting his personal comforts, up to now, Mandela is a global icon. Am I right? But it's because right as a young man, qualified as a lawyer, and therefore can live in comfort, he took the needs of South Africa as important and his calling. And that cost him almost 30 years in Robben Island. Am I right? Because of insisting on going on a place that is rocky, he ended up making a global impact. My friend, you are thinking you make an impact? And you are meandering like this? You are one of those people that will appear in the scriptures. Yes? So and so begat so and so. And so and so begat so and so. But the only job you achieve is begetting. There's nothing else they can say. You know, sometimes when you go through the Bible and they God, they stop to explain one to make impact. Am I right? You are not one of them. For you to make impact like Jesus, you must be willing to suffer. I repeat myself. We are not suggesting you invite somebody. We can suggest just follow your calling. If somebody comes, it's okay, but follow your calling. If God does not give you any opportunity for suffering, don't ask him to. But you must. And that's very, very important. If you are going to make any impact, you must be the person who, like Jesus. Therefore, since Christ suffered in his body, arm yourself with the same attitude. Which attitude? An attitude that says God has called. If it means I die, I die. And you know, for Jesus, as a human being, he didn't want to die. At the Garden of Gethsemane, he knew the kind of pain he'll go through, because crucifixion was the most painful process. So he finally, as a human being, saying, God, is there an alternative way for this cup? Yet not my will, but yours. And that's really what we are talking about this morning with the men. You must refuse to take the easy way. You know, Akaka the other day was talking in the office. Said, "You look so unhappy." "Yeah, my wife. I can tell you how to replace her." Now, that's an easy way. But God gave you a wife. And that wife will be a lioness. And you never discovered that enough. But now you know. You married a lioness. You are looking for an easy way? God knew that the only one who could domesticate that lioness was brother so-and-so. I don't want to mention your name. But now there's like a small girl telling you, a Gashungwa telling you, there is an easy way. Take it. Take that easy way out. And you have simply destroyed your life. And I know many of my age mates, our 70s, can give you a story of where they meandered. You know, some of them, when they're in their 30s, 40s, they jump their original family and they got a kaga. They got their 70s and their biology started changing. Once the kaga started seeing you are getting weak, she just told you, "Wait a minute, you are down. Go. And if you don't, your house is wrong." So you, in your 70s, you come to your first wife saying, I know I did wrong, but your children are now out of the university, they are feeding you. Can they also feed me? And many women in counseling ask, am I expected to expect him back after he spent all his strength elsewhere? And you have to tell the Christian lady, you are married, please accept him. And then you tell Kamuze, come, but come slowly. Because they went for an easy way out. And you can count one after another of men in their 70s and 80s coming to their first wife. Because their first wife was a lioness. And they forgot God had given them the ability to domesticate the lioness. But in the process of domesticating the lioness, there will be scratches. Is that possible? But you must withstand the scratches. Rather than take the easy way out. That's what the Bible is saying. Since you know Christ suffered in his body as a human being, take the same attitude. And you lose that attitude, there's no hope. What do you think is the main problem in Kenya? The main problem in Kenya is that we don't have such men. Every man is looking for how to make his life easy. The Mandela type are rare. If Kenya got a few Mandela type, would we be in the problem we are in? No. But similarly, we blame those politicians. What are we ourselves? Are we looking for the easy way out? Or are we being the men God created us to be? Who have a calling, and they stay in their calling irrespective of the challenges that will come along. You know the problem of, we keep talking about the problem of corruption. I'm chairman of an organization we call Ethical Leadership Network. And we are trying to see how we can help Kenyans to become more ethical. But you know what our problem is? Very simple. Very, very simple. Nobody is willing to suffer. You go to a new job, and there is money which even if you stole, nobody will discover. And you find you know how to relocate it. Now, if you know that you don't want any money you cannot account for, money will be there, carelessly kept, but you can't steal it. I used to, when I was working for Shell, there was a time I was in the region office covering about 10 countries. One of the countries I was covering several Muslim countries. I was covering Djibouti, Sudan, several of the Muslim countries. And I still remember being in Sudan, and we were one of my Shell workmates, and we were in Khartoum, and I come out of the car, and then the driver leaves. I say, hey, you have forgotten to lock your car. Because I did not imagine anybody leaving a car on the street without locking. You know what he told me? This is not Nairobi. What he actually meant is that they are not Christians. In a Muslim country, you can leave your car open. Isn't that an embarrassment to me? I'm trying to win him to Jesus. No, he tells me those problems of Nairobi are not here. You need to understand clearly. Our major problem is desire for soft things. That if I take this one, I will be richer. If we came to where people are ready to die, corruption will just end. Because the first category of corrupt people are people who want to get rich. But the bigger category of people who steal is they want to be like everybody else. But the third category are people who fear. You know, many people who abet corruption are themselves very poor. We used to think every corrupt person is rich until Goldenberg, the drama that was on TV. The kind of guys who came to testify in Goldenberg were old and frail, clearly telling you they never touched the billions. Do you remember Akamze that was in charge of mining, being questioned on signing the certificate that gold had come? So that, did you see any gold? No. Why did you sign? Orders from above. He got absolutely nothing. But he was the real corrupt person. Because you see, other people never signed anything. They just got the money through his signature. And himself, he got nothing. And I was told by somebody who was in Central Bank those days, the way the thing was working, the Central Bank people who abetted the transfer of the dollars got absolutely nothing. They were just told, if you care about your life, sign the papers. But I haven't seen, there's no evidence. If you care about your life, sign the papers. Many of them cared about their life, so they signed. In the process, the country lost billions. It's the first time those of you who are old will remember when you are earning 1,000 shillings as a salary at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, the same 1,000 could not buy even half of the previous one, because inflation became double. You remember? In other words, there was a thief entering your pocket, stealing half of your value, and yet they never touched your pocket. But the money you had, inflation was such that it just brought. We are not talking about inflation. Nowhere near what Goldenberg produced. Not due to rich, corrupt people, but poor corrupt. Because the real corrupt people never got a shilling of Goldenberg. And we normally want to prosecute the guys who got rich, but there's no evidence. Because the real corrupt people, we look at them and say, sure, I want to do this one, I've done it. But he's a real thief. He needs to be punished. Because by trying to escape taking the easy road, he ended up bringing the country to its knees. So you need to understand, if we are going to be men of impact, we must be willing to stand our ground, whatever the cost. And when you do that, my friend, you'll enjoy your old age. Because what happens is, you may not be rich, but you have no regrets. You have no guilt. So you start as a 78-year-old man, looking back and grateful to God through each battle, and now He help you to overcome. That's really the message we are going. If you really are going to make impact, you must be ready to die. And being ready to die does not mean you die. Because of handling corrupt people, there's even somebody has come to my office and told me, an Asian, he told me, are you aware, although you see me in business, I'm a very senior police officer. Because he had seen I'm not towing the line. So he just tells me, I'm an SSP. I asked, what is SSP? Senior Superintendent of Police. And he said, he's just a young businessman according to me. So if you could see I'm not believing, he just went to his pocket and produced his police ID in full uniform as an SSP. The message was clear. If you don't allow me to do what I want to do, I'll take care of you. At another time, I think he thought I'm not getting the thing. He just produced a gun, put it on the table. So understand, he can take care of me and nothing will happen to him. I just told you, nothing will change. I'm cancelling your contract and I've told you why. It will be cancelled. The next number of weeks, you dread knowing you could die any time. But I retired many years ago, and this is not a ghost, this is me. But I was ready to. I was appointed a director of one of the parastatals in the Moi era, those years, in the 1990s. And I wondered, with all the state of corruption, I would accept it. Someone told me, Nganga, if you refuse the appointment, never again criticize the government. So God may be calling you to stop corruption, You refuse to enter and you continue saying they are corrupt. How are they going to stop corruption if good people refuse to go in? I realized if I join, I'm in trouble. If I don't, I'm still. So we prayed with my wife and said, okay, I'll go. So I turned up for the first board meeting. Sure enough, I got used to the title, Director Gang. Because that's what they were calling me in the meetings. But you see, it did not take long for me to realize I'm becoming an impediment. Every decision, I say, no, that's not right. It cannot be decided. People look at me and wonder, because the other board members are there to receive an allowance. Am I communicating? Although, by the way, it was not much. It was about 1,000 shillings. If I came from the board meeting, I could pass through Tintin, because I was in Shop Baby House. I could pass through Tintin. Lunch was about 1,000. By the time I arrived home, I arrived in Shell, I've been going to the toilet. I've gotten But you also got power as a director. Am I communicating? But I didn't see that power, because power is only by being corrupt. So I stood my ground. I know something, you must be very rich. No wonder you are not interested in this, you are not helping us. I said, no. The reason I came to this board, in my understanding, was in order to help the country not lose money. So at least, the government can lose elsewhere, but not when I'm seeing. One time, the chairman said there were orders from above to do something unethical. And I said, no, we can't. Haven't you read the State Corporation Act? It says the board, not management, will be held accountable for the decisions of the organization. I'm not about to agree. So they asked me, but how are you going to question the owner of the government? I said, he should have known better. He's the one who understands and the other directors were looking at me like I must be a ghost. They finally decided, because of the chairman of the tendering and technical committee, they decided to remove me without following procedure. That's what I told them. Then, since the idea is to remain in the board without impact, I'm resigning. Hey, one of my friends says it's dangerous. You resign and you end up in Nyayo house. So he advised me, the best thing is simply stop attending the board. But remember, whatever decision they make, I'm associated with it, isn't it? So we prayed with my wife and we agreed to resign. Chochote takutokea, kitokee. They have told the Lord. The only problem is, you write to the minister. You know the appointments come from the minister in charge of that area. So you write to the minister. So you have to write to the minister through the chairman, who is the one who caused the whole problem in the first place. So, but I say, can you write direct? No. So I said, write to the chair. I'll write to the minister by the chairman, my designation, due to the part happened in the previous board meeting. My conscience cannot allow me to continue. And my friends were saying, that's dangerous. I said, now, if a Christian cannot resign, who will? Because many people are in corrupt boards because they dare not resign and see the repercussions. I decided, and I have to admit to you, for the next 2 weeks, I was living in Plainview. For the next 2 weeks, every time a car stopped near my house, I went through the window to see whether they have come. My guess is that they must have investigated and found I'm just a preacher, nothing much. And finally realized that he is of no impact. What I'm trying to get you to see is, by the way, these days when we meet, the other day we met with one of the directors, and he said, hey, you know, we could not do what you are doing. We are the young children, as if mine were old. But you need to understand clearly, for 25 years later, for someone to be remembering, he made an impact. If he is still corrupt, the conscience will bother him. How come Nanga could stand his ground? And he's a human being just like me. If you truly want to be a man that will make an impact in the church, in the family, in the nation, this message is your message. And it will be important to understand. That's why I'm still praying that the men of the church will make a difference. Do you know the truth? If born again believers were to believe this message, this country will change. I read a document somewhere that a country is not led by the view of the 80%, it's led by the view of the 20%. So if only we don't have to be 80% of the country, if only we were 20% of people who believe this message. You know, for corruption to work, it requires a network, isn't it? And when you inside that network, you will sabotage it. Because all you need is one person not to sign. Can you be told in Central Bank? One paper may have ended up in 5 or 6 signatures. If one is missing, can it be paid? No. And you may be a Christian, you may be one Christian out of the 6 signatures. You refuse to sign, they of course may kill you after some time. But before they kill you, that corruption won't happen. Am I communicating? That's what you need to understand. But many of you are saying, what will happen to my children? As if the children belong to you. Are you not aware those are not your children? They are God's children allocated to you for a while. Am I communicating? And the one who will look after your children is the owner, who is not you, is God. My father died when I was young. Very clearly, in our days in 1960s, the school fees by today's standards were very low, but there was no money. The Christian family did not produce money. But yet I was doing well in school. So 1966, my sister does KP, it was KP, and she's taken in a government school. The school fees for girls, there was affirmative action for women. They were paying, in a government school, they were paying 300 shillings. Boys were paying 450. But my parents were unable to pay she went with 50 shillings. But sometimes the school just sent her home. So she was traveling. And I'm now in 67. It's very clear. If she can't pay, if my mother can't pay 300, how will she pay? Not 450, now 300 plus 450, 750. It's impossible. But I believe in God as a small boy. I was only born again in 1967. I believe in God that if He helps me to pass, He also gives me the school fees. Because He is the one who says, I'm the father of the fatherless. I'm the husband of. Did He joke or did He mean it? So I finally was in high school and I was sent home every time. You go home, you come without the shillings. The Muzungu those days, almost 70-80% of the teachers were Azungus. He said, but I said you stay home. So sometimes you are sent home again, you come with 50 shillings. When I reached Form 3, it was Form 3, they decided to give me the job of working over the holidays in the school. But my school fees, I would work over the holidays, but the money would not come to me. It will go to school fees. So I was paying my own school fees, kind of. You get the point? But I finished Form 4. When I finished Form 4, now the issue is, and I got a first division with good points. Do I go to work? Because I'm Form 4 at that time could work. That's 1971 now. Do I go to work? I still believe if the Lord can give me such good marks, He wants me to go on. So I applied to go to Alliance for Form 5. But now, it doesn't make sense. After all the struggle, that's why I explained. My sister and myself explained to my mother. You see, my sister finished Form 4 and went to KMTC. Said 2 of us cannot finish at Form 4. Let him go to 4A level. Why? 3 reasons. Number 1, the government, as a way of encouraging us to go on with school, A level was totally free. You didn't pay a single shilling except you pay for your own uniform and exam fees. Yes, when you are right there, they'll give you the bed sheets, they'll give you toilet paper, they give you more money and yet you pay nothing. So, it is true, there is But now you are not required to pay anything. So that's how I ended up in Form 5. Then of course after Form 5, I was invited to the university, and the university did not ask you for money, they gave you money. It was called boom. So that's how I ended up. Can you see the father of the fatherless doing it? Why do you think your children, if you die standing for the truth, how do you think your children, God cannot look after them? So don't cut corners because of your children, because of your wife. If you are standing in the name of the Lord, rest assured, even if you left this life. You know, there are many people who had rich parents, but they never made it in school at all. It's important to understand what I'm trying to say. That if you are going to make an impact, you must make a decision. You will stand your ground rather than go meandering from place to place. The reason why you have to take this attitude is because he who has suffered in his body is done with his sin. That the moment you accept body suffering, you can never sin. Because a lot of us sin for pleasure. Am I right? Now, so the moment your body is not controlling you, you live a righteous life. The day comfort is not, and I'm not suggesting you don't enjoy it, you don't do things that comfort this life. If the Lord opens doors, go ahead. It gives you the money, go ahead. But you don't live for it. It's more of a by the way than the reason for your life. So he's saying you are done with the sin. You cannot sin. The reason we sin is because our bodies, we are trying to protect from suffering. Then he goes on to say in verse 2, as a result, once you have the right attitude, as a result, what will happen? That kind of a person does not live the rest of his life, earthly life, for human desires, but rather for the will of God. You change your purpose for living. I've written a book called Discovering Your Life's Purpose. From that moment, you start living for the purpose of God's kingdom. Not for your own purpose. Because now your purpose grows to be a bigger life. That is after you do the thing you have been emphasizing. And it will be important that that is that. So I'm asking you, what is your life purpose? To make money? After you have the money, so what? What is your life? Why do you think God created you? Why do you think He saved you? You are born again. Why? He is saying, don't live for earthly purpose, but rather for the will of God. Verse 3, for you have spent enough time in the past doing what pagans choose to do. You can't claim to be a Christian, but there is no difference between the way you live and the way you are non-Christians are living. If you came to my Christian year in 1968, there was a very popular chorus. I don't know if it's very popular now, but we used to sing it like this. The things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. The things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. The things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. There is a great change since I've been born again. There is a great, great change. I'm asking you, what's the difference between you and your non-Christian workmates? What is the difference between you as a husband and a non-Christian husband? Sometimes you can't see the difference. You can't sing the song. The place I used to go, I don't go there anymore. But you are going to those funny places. You were there last week. Now you need to ask yourself, how could you say your purpose for life has changed? The clothes I used to wear, I don't wear them anymore. That's how we used to say. So you need to ask yourself, what difference? Do you really want to be a Christian man of impact? You must change. First of all, we have said you must change your attitude. That suffering is not something you run away from. Number 2, you must have a clear purpose for living. Don't just live and never be God. No, you must have clarity. In the short time you are on earth, there is something God created you to achieve, and you must live to achieve it? What is it? I think it will be important that is a question you have answered and you are clear about. What will happen? Verse 4 tells you what will happen. The people around you, they will think it strange that you do not catch with them into the same flood of dissipation, and they heap abuse on you. So, if you live the kind of life I'm telling you that makes impact, you'll start thinking there's something wrong with you. It's a strange night. 1988, I went for a course sent by Shell in our training center in London. That's when I realized the Wazungus are kafiris. You know kafiri? We used to think because they are the ones who brought us Christianity. I was in a Christianity. I still remember 1988 trying to witness to a Dutchman. And he said, what are you talking about? Because me, I thought they may not be Christian, but they know about Christianity. But I discovered it doesn't. Now, since you could see I was very passionate, in the morning we sat next to each other. I said, John, I now understand what you are talking about. There is a Bible in my room. I opened it, and there's this guy called Jesus. I said, Mr. Minute, what do you call him? Of course I was young. Could not stand somebody calling Jesus a guy. So I asked him, what is your religion? He said, I'm a Christian. Are you? And you don't know anything about it? I've never read the Bible any time. And you are a Christian? Yes. What kind of Christianity is this? He says, he's a Christian because his children are baptized in the church. And number 2, they will be married in church. And number 3, he will be buried by the church. Because of that, he donates people, he belongs to a church, he donates people money to the church on a weekly basis. I said, when you go to church, doesn't the pastor preach? He said, don't go to church. He said, how do you give money? It's the work of the pastor to come house to house collecting the money. I've never heard of that. You can be a Christian who never attends church. So the church continues being rich, but nobody is attending. That's when I discovered that many of the white people have not rejected Jesus. They have never heard of him. So I made a commitment. If any expatriate comes to work with me, I'll talk to him about Jesus. I talk to them and they start saying, Nana, you make good management decisions, but if there's something loose, how can you talk like somebody who is a savage? Because they never imagine Christianity can be alive. And somebody educated can talk like it. They thought only people who know nothing. Did you hear the verse? It's saying, if you stand your ground, they'll think it's strange that you are not doing the things they are doing, that you don't seem to enjoy the things they are enjoying. And then, the verse are saying, they'll start heaping abuse on you. That's what people are fearing. That's why they are just fitting in. And people who fit in make no impact. I want to give you a break for about 5-10 minutes, and then I can continue. But the 5 minutes will be enough to greet somebody. So we have break time, 10 minutes, then you come back. Now MC, 10 minutes will end when? Using your clock. Who is MC? Have the mic. Have the mic if they can't hear you. Who is MC?
Yes, yeah. So 10 minutes means that we'll be back by 11:50.